Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm your host Lex.
I'm your other host Dan.
We're a video game news podcast, broadcasting live on www.chipbit.net and twitch.tv/DCTF podcast, Fridays, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You can find us all over the internet.
All sorts of social media.
We are splattered everywhere.
Yeah, at this point I kind of just want to say, like, if there's social media, we're down there. Just search either Don't Copy That Floppy or DCTF podcast.
Yeah,
and you'll find
us. Just make sure it's the right one. It's not like a page for the old PSA or something.
We got show archives, which are up on YouTube and on iTunes and on the chipbit.net site.
That is correct. And if you'd like to support the show, if you tune in and you like what you hear, you can check out our Patreon page for Don't Copy That Floppy or DCTF Podcast. We're DCTF Podcast on there, right?
Actually, I think we're Don't Copy That Floppy on there.
Okay. Well, we're one of those things on Patreon.
Yeah,
you can find it through our Facebook page.
That's fine.
Give us some money if you want, or if you don't want to, just go leave an iTunes review, because that helps too.
Yeah.
Help Senpai notice us.
You know, last week we had a special guest on our show, Scott from the Classic Elite podcast.
Yes. He was a delight.
Yeah.
He was a treat. A peach.
I just went on iTunes to his podcast, left a nice review.
Oh, I will do the same.
Yeah. They're good. There is some sort of metric where, like, iTunes, like, you get more visibility depending on
how many reviews you get.
Yeah,
that's why most people say, like, get those iTunes reviews.
Yep.
You'll see a lot of podcasts I listen to say, like, hey, go leave us a review on iTunes. It helps. We're talking about video games this week.
What?
Unlike other weeks, we will be talking about video games. We got to talk about Black Friday, because today is Black Friday.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say that. It's Friday the 25th of November.
It's Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Which means some people are happy because they got some sweet deals on various items. And pretty much everybody besides them is horribly unhappy because this day is miserable.
This is true.
And if you work an everyday job, you hate it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to work at the mall on Black Friday...
Yeah, I work for the post office, and it's just as horrible.
Oof.
So, I had a fun day. So, I'm ready to talk about some video games, though. Cheer myself up. Have a better time.
Good.
We've got to talk about Black Friday. We're going to talk about the Game Awards. We have a story from last week that we didn't manage to get to, plus some new stuff, since the Game Awards is coming up, and the nominees have all been announced. If you want to hear Lex, Scott, and I's thoughts on some of those nominees, you can listen to last week's episode, because we tried to touch upon some of the ones we thought were more interesting. There's also some news. You're not going to believe this. Some news about No Man's Sky.
Oh my god!
And it's not just that people still hate it.
It's not their Twitter being hacked again?
It's not their Twitter being hacked again. We also have some news about Pokemon, which is pretty much par for the course at this point. There's always new Pokemon news.
Even though the game is now out, there's still news about it.
There's still news. Did you know you can high-five your Pokemon in that game?
Ooh.
The internet just found out.
I knew that you could longingly look into their eyes.
You could. You could also pet them.
Oh.
But on that screen, you can also tap above their head and give them a high five.
It's pretty great.
It's really great. Yeah. It's just like those little features that make everything feel more special. Got Pokemon Go news, though, which we haven't actually talked about in a while. But things are happening there. We have Blizzard news. We have news about Watchdogs 2. Big release that just came out.
Oh, yeah.
And some news about GameStop. Sad news about GameStop, or happy news about GameStop.
Depending on which side of
what side you ascribe to, yeah. Same for news about Peter Molyneux. Either sad or happy news. Depending on your opinions on the man. As well as some Monster Hunter news that has me just shivering with rage. But we'll get to that. Then we usually round out the show with a look at video games that have just come out, as well as games coming out in the next week or so. Start with Black Friday. Why don't you take us into Black Friday, Lex?
Oh my
Lord
gosh.
knows I don't want to.
Okay, so there's if you're looking for Black Friday deals, Polygon has a pretty extensive list of different articles and links to different deals, some of which are pretty darn good. I know that Blizzard is doing some pretty sweet stuff where they have the first 2 installments of StarCraft 2, so the Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm are both $10.
Yes.
And then I think Legacy of the Void is $20, so you're still paying a total of $40 for that whole game, which is reasonable. Is actually reasonable. Although, unlike paying $60 for 3 parts of the whole game.
Let us not forget as well that last weekend was Overwatch's free weekend.
Oh, yeah.
From the 18th to the 21st, you could play Overwatch for free. And now, for Black Friday, Overwatch is 40% off. So if it got its hooks in you on that free weekend, why don't you go buy yourself the game? Save a little money. That's smart marketing.
Oh, yeah. Good Old Games has all sorts of deals on stuff like Inside and Limbo. Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition is 50% off, which is totally worth it because that game is amazing.
Steam obviously has its fall sale going too.
Oh, yeah.
Which has oodles of things on sale. You can get Psychonauts for $1.
Oh, man!
If you want to play Psychonauts.
Worth it.
That's super worth it.
Yeah.
Like, the game's definitely worth $1.
Especially if you're getting amped up for the sequel and you want to play the original one beforehand. That is totally worth checking out.
You can get The Witcher 3 for $20.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a bang for your buck right there. You can also get The Witness, the acclaimed puzzle game that came out earlier this year. It was $40, and that is on sale for $24 right now.
Oh.
I actually picked that up so that me and my wife could play it together, because I was waiting for this sale to see if it would go on sale, and it did.
And it did.
So that's cool.
There's apparently one of the articles has some deals on 4K TVs. Mm-hmm. So if you got that PS4 Pro and you just gotta have that 4K,
gotta have it.
The Samsung KS8000, which is just too many zeros. You could have just chopped a couple zeros off there. That would have been fine.
But it's not an 8K TV.
No, the 4K TV.
But it's the 8000. That's misleading.
It is misleading. So it's a 4K television, and it is like $900 on Amazon, which for a 4K TV is pretty good. What were some of the other ones?
Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2 are $35.
Yeah.
Some places. Nintendo 3DSs are $99.99.
Oh.
New 3DSs, a lot of places. I mean, I'm sure by now you can't get them anymore. I'm sure they're all gone. But, they were $99.99 in a lot of stores.
Wait, so they were $20?
Huh?
They were $20?
$99.99.
Oh, they were $100?
They were $100.
Oh.
As opposed to like $200.
Oh.
For a new 3DS.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
XL, it's a pretty good deal. 50% off your handheld. You can get Pokemon Sun and Moon on it. Play the best Pokemon game came out in forever.
But is Pokemon Sun and Moon on sale? No, it just came out.
It just came out, and it's worth the full price, though, so don't worry about that. High-fiving your Pokemon is worth the price of admission. So yeah, the Steam sales are going on as well. They are also including the new Steam Awards, where you can nominate games for the Steam Awards. Which is kind of interesting, because this is the first time they're doing this. You can now, throughout this sale, vote on games to win in the following categories. The Test of Time Award, the I'm Not Crying, There's Something in My Eye Award, the Just 5 More Minutes Award, the Whoa Dude Award, the Villain Most in Need of a Hug Award, the Game Within a Game Award, the I Thought This Game Was Cool Before It Won an Award,
yeah,
the Best Use of a Farm Animal Award, and the We Didn't Think of Everything Award. So just weird award categories.
Yeah, these categories are super goofy, but I love the Whoa Dude Award makes me think of like Thumper or Super Hot.
Totally.
The
Thumper should win that for sure, because that's a Whoa Dude game.
The Just 5 More Minutes makes me think of like Civ 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more turn.
Yeah.
Just one more turn.
It's fine. I gotta beat the Visigoths. Give me a little more time here.
I'm Not Crying, There's Something in My Eye, Undertale.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the game was cool before it won an award. Undertale.
Undertale, definitely, definitely. Best use of farm animal award, Undertale.
Undertale.
Maybe Undertale should just sweep
Villain
this.
most in need of hug goes to Undertale.
Yeah, I think Undertale should just sweep this. That'd be good.
The Woe Dude Award could go to Undertale. The Game Within a Game Award also applies to Undertale. Basically, Undertale should just sweep all these categories because it's great.
Yep. The Test of Time Award makes less sense, but sure.
Sure. No, Duke Nukem Forever. No, not Duke Nukem Forever. Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah.
I meant to say Duke Nukem 3D. That game stood the test of time. Duke Nukem Forever didn't stand the test of a month. So that's cool. It's all voted by people on Steam. So I'm actually excited to see what wins these awards. Although I'm sure it'll just be games that are very, very popular, like Undertale. Neat. Speaking of Game Awards shows, the Game Awards is happening soon. Hosted by the Dorito Pope himself, Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
Great guy. I like Jeff Keighley quite a bit. I think you would agree.
Yeah.
That he's a cool dude. So we have a story from last week that we didn't have time to talk about, which is from Polygon here on November 16th, saying that the Game Awards will deliver more gameplay, less CGI, thanks to No Man's Sky.
So this is actually a great story of how Jeff Keighley is a super cool guy.
Yes.
A great example of that. So, with No Man's Sky, I mean, we've covered it a lot of people know, but the whole story about that game is it came out and then everyone was super underwhelmed by it and very upset, and they felt like they had been lied to in the game's advertising, which was partly true.
Yes.
So a lot of people were pointing fingers at No Man's Sky devs, also at
Hello Games specifically, and at Sony.
And at Sony.
But then Sony went and pointed fingers at Hello Games.
Yeah, because they weren't going to take any blame for this.
Shuhei Yoshida, way to be a dick.
Yep. But you know who nobody was pointing fingers at?
Mr. Jeff Keighley.
Mr. Jeff Keighley. But you know who took responsibility for it?
Mr. Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, because he's just a stand-up guy.
You can take it. So Jeff Keighley is quoted in this article as saying, "I've thought about the story of No Man's Sky a lot. Did we create this black hole of hype that the developers couldn't pull themselves out of? Some of that was authored by me. There's a good moral of that story, and it's part of what I'm trying to address this year, to have developers be more transparent about the state of their game." So, much in the way we talked last week about transparency in sponsorship, we now are talking about transparency in advertising for your game prior to release. Very topical.
Now, I think this article says this somewhere, but it apparently at the Game Awards last year was one of the first times that we saw gameplay from No Man's Sky or something.
It was featured at the Game Awards pretty prominently, 2 times. So it helped. It was part of the hype machine that helped drum everything up. And Keighley went on to say that he agrees with feedback and told that to Sean Murray. The game, when it was announced, everyone in their mind's eye kind of came up with an idealized notion of what it was going to be, which is totally true. People online had these absurd expectations for what this game was going to be. So obviously they were disappointed, but I myself, I didn't have those absurd expectations, and I played it, and I came away from it disappointed in the end. I enjoyed it for a little while, but then I put it down and just haven't picked it up since. There's just not enough substance to it. And you have to... Keighley also says in this article that the team who made this game was 8 dudes. This was not made by a huge team. So what can you really expect with that small of a development team?
In fact, for 8 dudes, No Man's Sky is pretty incredible.
It's pretty impressive. The core engine of it and everything is pretty amazing. So the idea that Keighley had is for, instead of doing these big cinematic reveals of games and showing off trailers and things that aren't even necessarily representative of the final product, No Man's Sky came under a lot of fire for having screenshots and trailers used up until release that were of earlier builds of the game and contained things that are not in the game anymore. So the idea is that some of these games will even be presented in almost like a Let's Play format, with people playing it for 5 minutes or so and showing off what's there. They're going to be diving deeper into the games and gameplay, get deeper looks at premieres. They're going to run 4 or 5 minutes instead of being these like 1-minute cinematic teasers.
Now this is
and
interesting
things
because
like
when they're talking about doing more of a Let's Play format, it actually made me think of E3. Because I mean,
Yes.
E3 has tons of trailers, obviously, because
But they do like live demos.
they do,
on stage.
and sometimes those are really cool, and sometimes they're awful,
And sometimes
fraught
they're
with
complete BS.
This is also true. but I think that when you do that, you open yourself up to way more technical difficulty
I mean,
things.
Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Final Fantasy 15.
Exactly.
I worry about that because my one criticism of the Game Awards last year was that there were lots of random little technical difficulties that bogged down the show at certain
Yes.
points.
So you worry that this is going to add to that?
Yeah, I feel like they're going to have gotten rid of a bunch of the difficulties they ran into last year in terms of switching to different people and mic problems and
Right.
stuff like that. But then they're going to have a whole new set of things to deal with.
Yeah.
And because even though the Game Awards is like a big thing, it's still a fairly small operation in compared to, I don't know, like the Spike
Or E3.
or E3.
Yeah.
And I just worry about their capability to deal with some of that stuff in a live setting.
I guess we will find out on December 1st or whenever it is.
Either way, though, I think it's a great idea. The sentiment behind it that Jeff Keighley is going for is fantastic.
December 1st. So it's next week.
Yeah.
Last year, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, won a lot of awards, and a certain man wasn't there to accept it.
And Jeff Keighley called out Konami.
Super hard.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. He just threw mad shade at them right there in the middle of the show when he found out that Mr. Kojima could not be there. But this year, Hideo Kojima is set to grace the Game Awards stage.
Yes.
There he is.
Yes,
Look
yes,
at him.
yes.
Look at him holding the earth in the palm of his hand.
Oh, that is what that's a picture of, huh?
So he will attend this year's Game Awards, where he will receive a 2016 Industry Icon Award live and on stage. Keighley revealed Kojima's special appearance on Twitter on November 17th, where he expressed excitement for his longtime friend's honor. So that's very cool. Hideo Kojima's been a major mover and shaker in the video game industry for a very long time. So this award is totally deserved. And it's nice, especially in light of him not being there because last year because Konami said, no, you can't. We won't let you.
Yeah.
Can't accept awards for our game.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ugh. Look at him. Look how serious Jeff Keighley looks.
Yeah,
He's like
he was-
Konami.
He was pissed.
You could tell he was mad.
Like-
Well, he's spoken a lot about how he and Hideo Kojima are actually like friends.
They
Like
probably like
talk
the
a
same
lot.
movies, I'm
They
sure.
probably
yeah.
they probably watch Drive together
I
sometimes.
bet they do.
And they both wear their Drive jackets. We didn't know Jeff Keighley had one because he's more modest about it.
But he definitely does.
But he definitely does.
But no, I mean, if you didn't see that last year, like this article from Polygon has that,
A link
that
to the
video.
video. It's ice cold.
Please go watch it. It's amazing.
It's fantastic. And I think Jeff Keighley got nothing but praise for doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so... You don't usually see that at shows like this, because it's very like, ooh, you know, pander to the industry.
And
And
don't
upset
anyone who's a potential sponsor
Yes.
of this show.
But Jeff Keighley's like, yo, Konami,
You fucked up.
why being a dick?
Yeah.
Because Konami's being dicks. They're horrible.
They
Have
are.
you seen that Metal Gear Solid 3 pachinko machine?
I
Oh my
s-
god.
I saw it.
That's like a weird form of torture. Just the fact that they made that.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, you ever wonder what Metal Gear Solid 3 would look like
With,
on
like,
modern
PS4 graphics?
consoles? Yeah, here it is, but it's not the game, it's a pachinko machine.
But we redid every cutscene in amazing quality.
It's like, that's what I imagine hell is like.
It's just...
Like, you get down there and they're like, hey, what about this thing you love? A better version of it. But it sucks.
But it's a pachinko machine! What are these even? There's metal balls, but I don't know how it works.
Konami might actually be the devil.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Legit the devil.
So, there's been controversy already, though, for the Game Awards.
So we might get another call out this year.
We might get another call and be like, yo, Nintendo, what's up? Because Nintendo has petitioned and succeeded in having Pokemon and Metroid fan games removed from the Game Awards Best Fan Creation category. The two things that were removed were Pokemon Uranium.
Which is what I thought was actually going to be the winner in that category this year.
It very well might have been. That got removed, which, if you don't know, was a full fan-made Pokemon game made in the RPG Maker engine. And it was released, and then Nintendo said, hey, you can't do that. And they were like, yeah, okay. But it was already everywhere.
Yeah, because
so you can still readily get it.
When they released it, they didn't charge money for it,
No.
I believe.
They just spread it around.
Yeah.
And then by the time the cease and desist happened, they said, okay, we'll take it down off our website.
And then it was already out in the wild. Yeah. It was already in the tall grass.
It was already
Everybody
in the tall
could catch
grass.
it.
That's good, yeah. And AM2R, which is a Metroid 2 remake.
Now, when we were talking about the nominees, I remember seeing AM2R, and I was like, what is that? And when I saw this article, I looked up gameplay for it. Man, that's gorgeous.
It's real good.
It's so
really
pretty.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, it basically is just Metroid 2 HD remake.
Are Nintendo just angry because fans made a better Metroid thing than they've made in over a decade?
Yeah, I think so. No,
Is that just salt because everybody realized how much Other M and Federation Force suck?
I don't actually think that has anything to do with it,
No,
because if we were...
Not really.
Because, like, if they had just banned that game, then I would assume that maybe it had something to do with the fact that they're trying to downplay that franchise because they don't care about it anymore.
Yeah.
But they also banned Pokemon Uranium, and we know they have no reason to want to minimize the Pokemon franchise.
Does Nintendo not care about Pokemon anymore?
What? But no, they do.
They definitely do.
They definitely
With how
do.
much money Sun and Moon's making them right now.
But it's a pretty big bummer, and the speculation on this is that these games were taken down because Nintendo might end up sponsoring this event, co-sponsoring this event, and they had went to the Dorito Pope and said, "Yo, we don't care if you're in charge of a whole church.
We're not."
It's like the coalition of Protestant.
Do you think they do like a sacrament by like putting Cheeto dust on your forehead?
Yeah, they take
or a Dorito powder. I mean,
they take one of those like mortar and pestle things and grind up the
Doritos.
Doritos.
You just get the orange dust.
And you're baptized in Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Okay, that's off topic.
The body of Keeley. And you drink the Mountain Dew.
Jeff Keighley died for our sins.
Jeff Keighley called out Konami for their sins.
But no, so I think that there's speculation that Nintendo went to Keighley and
we're like, yo man, if we're going to sponsor this, you can't have these
Yeah.
on the ballot. To which Jeff Keighley said, okay.
I guess so. That's a bummer. Although we don't know if that's what happened.
Yeah.
But
it would make sense, though.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other thing here is Nintendo, as a company, they own these franchises. They do.
Yeah.
So they have every right to issue cease and desists and be like, no, get rid of this. We don't want these fan creations. They do have absolutely every right to do that. It doesn't make them not jerks, though.
Well, all it does, the only thing it does is generate bad PR for them.
Yeah.
Because you look at Bethesda, and Bethesda has lots of problems. Their games glitch out a lot. Also, we did that story recently where they decided they're never going to give review copies again of their games. But at the same time, when one of the things that's up for player-created content is the Enderall mod.
Yeah.
Which because I saw it on that list, I looked into it and I just downloaded it, and I'm going to play the shit out of that because it looks amazing.
Yeah.
So when Bethesda sees fans do amazing things, they recognize it and encourage it, and for that they have
Brutal Doom 64 is also on here, which is also id and Bethesda are like, this is awesome. Yeah, good job, fans.
Because one of the things we're going to talk about a little later is sales and stuff, and one of the games that's going to come up there then probably is the Elder Scrolls remaster called Elder Scrolls Special Edition, which is wrong. But like that sold really well, and I think part of the reason for that is because that game is still really well thought of, and I think the main reason for that is because people have been modding it since it came out.
Yeah.
And it still retained this really great fan base.
Which was the case of Morrowind and Oblivion before it as well.
So you can only benefit from this kind of stuff.
Well, look at Sega. They don't shut down any Sonic the Hedgehog fan games.
Well, that's because they know that any Sonic fan game is going to be better than any Sonic game they make.
It's true.
So,
It's true. Sonic Unleashed with opening song by Bowling for Soup.
Bowling for Soup. Greatest band of 2004.
So that's a shame.
I would be really interested to see if we have another call out moment where Jeff Keighley calls out Nintendo, because this year has been fraught with a lot of stories of them being like, hey, fan stuff, or hey, YouTubers, or hey, other stuff, you gotta take it all down.
Yeah, Nintendo's been doing that a lot.
And they came up with that really shitty system where it's like, oh, you can put our games as like YouTube videos, but you have to have them approved by us, so just send them to us and then we'll review them maybe eventually, and then if we like the content, you can put it up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was awful.
It's terrible. In other news, the Game Awards will potentially be garnering 1.5 billion more viewers.
Oh, dip.
So the third annual Game Awards will be streaming live this year to an audience that could include an extra 1.5 billion people, because in addition to being streamed on Twitch, YouTube, and game consoles, the show is expanding the way it finds its audience, including use of Facebook and virtual reality, and they are adding, they're going to be showing the show in China as well. We've done a lot of stories about how the game industry is expanding more into China in the past few years because it's a big burgeoning market now. Leisure video game stuff is becoming more of a thing over there. Mm-hmm. And Chinese multimedia giant Tencent Games, or Tencent, I guess, they do make games though, plans to air a live localized version of the Game Awards across the country using a number of platforms, including their instant messaging QQ and WeChat services.
Oh.
Those two alone have about 1.5 billion active users. So this could be good, because the more viewers the Game Awards gets, the better it looks to people who can give them sponsorships and keep it going as a thing. So it can go on for another 10 years until it becomes nothing but advertisements and dies, like every other video game award show.
Exactly.
And G4 TV for gamers.
Oh, Adam Sessler, rest in peace.
G4, the Cops Network. All cops, all the time.
Is that network still, like, on the air?
No. It is off air, but in the last, 3 years of its life, it was honest-to-goodness 24-hour cops marathons.
No, that's true.
All the time.
I knew that. I just wasn't sure if they were still, stumbling along in their cops marathons.
No, that channel is gone. I think it was a couple years ago that it went away. So yeah, this is very neat. It's cool to see it going to other places. Keighley said in this article that from everything he's read, China is already the biggest gaming market in the world. Western games and consoles have only just started being released there, but the PC and mobile space is massive. So, we'll see what happens. See how many people in China are interested in the Game Awards.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to report on how the Game Awards have quadrupled its audience or something for this year, because it deserves that recognition because it's a great award show.
And given that Western game consoles and games and things are just kind of becoming a big deal in China, this is a great way to introduce that stuff more to the Chinese audience as well. Yeah. To be like, hey, here's stuff you could get if you buy a PS4. Which you now can.
Consumerism.
China loves it. So that's neat. Since we talked about No Man's Sky a little bit already, there is some more news about it. And in light of... It's oddly timely, since we've just been talking about how it was overhyped and disappointed a great many people, because tons of people bought it. We have finally gotten news from Hello Games about an update coming to No Man's Sky.
Now, I don't know if it says it in the article, I don't know if you remember offhand, but when did No Man's Sky come out, Dan?
It came out in September. September something. Let's find out. I think it was mid-September? It came out in August.
Oh, in early August.
It came out on August 9th. I was way off. I was probably thinking of something else.
Off by a whole month.
I was thinking about Persona 5.
Oh, yeah.
No Man's Sky came out August 9th. And
now that we're almost into December,
a week or two after it came out, I think the Hello games went completely silent.
Now, to be fair, the day it came out, it got a massive update.
Yes, it did.
But that, I don't count that. If it's like day up or even week of, I'm not going to count it.
Yes.
That's just stuff that you couldn't get crammed into the release package.
So for an article from today on Polygon, we have learned that No Man's Sky will be getting a major update in the coming weeks. Hello Games announced this on their website. It's called the Foundation Update. It will introduce the base building feature that they promised into the game, as well as set the stage for further updates. We don't know exactly when it's coming out, and more details about the patch will be on the way. Hello Games did say that this won't be the game's biggest update, but it is the start of something. The team also reflected on criticism surrounding the game since launch, and said things like, the discussion around No Man's Sky since release has been intense and dramatic. We have been quiet, but we are listening and focusing on improving the game that our team loves and feels so passionately about. Positive or negative feedback, you have been heard, and that will truly help to make this game better for everyone. Foundation Update is referred to as one step toward winning back those same fans who couldn't wait for the game before its release. When it arrives, it will mark the first patch for No Man's Sky since September 24th.
Oh, there was a patch then.
Yes, it was a bug fix.
Oh, okay.
Mostly. Yeah, fixing some crash issues. So, we talked a little bit about this before the show, and you and I both kind of shared the sentiment that this is too little too late.
It's too late. It's too late, Sean Murray. I'm sorry. You need to just start working on a new game.
But
learn. You know what? We're gonna talk about somebody else later in this podcast who you might want to actually learn from. A guy named Peter Molyneux. Just move on to a different project.
Yeah. The difference being that I don't really blame Sean Murray as the one who overhyped No Man's Sky.
No, not at all.
Whereas I totally blame Peter Molyneux.
Oh yeah,
for overhyping all of his games.
Sean Murray didn't tell us you could plant a planet and watch it grow.
But now he's going to tell us we can build a base. But now we actually will be able to.
Yeah.
But that's actually neat. Like, I think it's cool that that's being added. So the problem with this is the No Man's Sky came out. People were disappointed. Player base fell off really fast. There were mass returns of the game on Steam and things like that.
Uh-huh.
And as of right now, I feel like the player base for this is probably non-existent.
Oh, it's gone.
It's completely gone.
There's no reason to do huge content updates at this point.
But this update, I'm sure, will bring some people back, but nowhere near enough people to make it worth it in any real way.
No, like what they needed to do was have a plan for new content where they could, and I understand they're a very small studio,
yes,
but where they could dole out little bits of additional content throughout like the last couple of months,
right?
And then every time they did, they could tease us by being like, there is a big content update coming, maybe a month from now or 2 months from now. And I think that would have gone a long way because at least we'd be seeing something. But instead, they went completely dark.
Almost 4 months of near silence.
Yeah,
is not good relation with your customer base. And they say, like, oh, whether it was positive or negative feedback, you've been heard, but nobody knew they were being heard.
Yeah, because they never said they were being heard.
Yeah, nobody, until now, people thought that Hello Games had just disappeared off the face of the earth.
Those 8 people had just gone home.
Had just gone home.
They got divorced from their wives and they had gone home.
And had not, were not doing anything. Because they said there were going to be these updates, but then we heard nothing else about them. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, myself included, were skeptical as to whether these updates were actually going to come at all after the huge drop-off of popularity. And I remain skeptical. I'll probably download this update and check it out, though, and see what it adds.
It's also, another thing about this is, as you read in the statement, is that, like, okay, we're getting a couple of features, but don't worry, a big update is still coming. Like, no, dude. If there's ever, like, even now it would have been too late to put out a big update, but at least do that. Don't be like, oh, there's still a big update. No, nobody cares.
Yeah.
The damage that you've done to your player base is irreparable. Well, and you can't take full responsibility for that damage.
No.
But you take partial responsibility.
We're at the point where no one's going to care enough.
Yeah.
Now. Like, this article came out, and I don't see anybody freaking out over it, really.
Oh, no.
this news came out and people were just like, oh. Huh. Like,
I mean, yeah, like the only news that we've gotten on No Man's Sky lately is just when their Twitter account was hacked. It's just the only people that still care are the people who are still bashing online.
And I want to stress where I'm coming from here is not, I'm not coming at this from a hateful standpoint, or I'm not trying to.
No.
I'm not trying to say this because it's like, oh, you guys made a crappy game, fuck you, forget about it, like it's not worth it. I'm saying this, I'm trying to be, I guess I feel like I feel like I'm thinking about this rather rationally. So I'm not saying all this stuff because I think No Man's Sky deserves to fail more or not be noticed or recognized for what it did. I'm saying this because I honestly think nobody's gonna care.
Yeah, and like I was saying at the beginning of the segment,
sucks.
Yeah,
because they
really
are really passionate about their game. It sucks, but I just can't help but feel like that's the reality of it.
Yeah, but yeah, like I was saying at the beginning of the segment, like I think Hello Games, that because they are actually a really good dev team, because No Man's Sky is super interesting.
They're clearly talented.
Their talents would be better served working on a new project.
Right.
And trying not to repeat the mistakes that they made with No Man's Sky. So, like, setting up something new and being like, okay, we've learned from our past mistakes, and on the release of this next game, we're going to do, like, X, Y, and Z, we're going to do them differently. Yeah. Like, I think that would be a way better use of their time.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Let's talk about Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon Go. It's getting some patches.
You know, it's funny because we initially talked about No Man's Sky and Pokemon Go sort of in the same boat because Niantic were just not updating Pokemon Go for the longest time.
Well,
but then they
now
started
they are updating and all the updates are bad.
They're all bad, but at least they're trying.
They just make the game worse every time. Pokemon Go has traveled a rocky path since its release. A big patch came out recently that buffed and nerfed a lot of Pokemon. Other little features have come out, like the buddy system. They did a Halloween event. There's another event going on for Double Experience and Stardust for a week. So they have been like doing stuff with it. One of the big things is that a long, long time ago, they completely removed the Pokemon tracking system from this game. And at the time they did, people were like, what the hell, why'd you do that? And they said, don't worry, we need to rework it, and we're going to put out an even better system. So we were stuck for a very long time with just, these Pokemon are nearby, you have no idea what direction or how far or anything, they're just nearby. Good luck. Now, the feature is going, they've been testing it for months in the San Francisco Bay Area, and the new nearby Pokemon feature is coming. It's vastly different from how it is now, and now it will show, but now the detailed Pokemon tracker will only show up if players are near a Pokestop, at which point it will show the type of Pokemon available at or around that location. So, what this basically means is that they've removed the sighting system that they have right now and made it so that you can track Pokemon by being near a Pokestop, and it'll tell you what Pokemon are near that Pokestop, which is not really that much different. It just means you have to be near a Pokestop, which for players who live in areas that are not near a Pokestop means they don't get anything now.
Yeah, it seems like just a super gimped version of the original tracker.
Yeah. A Reddit user, Matster8, who's totally right, said that this is a huge step backwards if you're not in the middle of a bunch of Pokestops. Tracking is now literally gone when you're not around one. Mm-hmm. And considering one of the biggest complaints about this game is that if you live in a rural area, you can't play it because there's nothing. This just makes that worse.
Yeah.
Like, we live in a semi-rural area.
We live in a rural/suburban area.
Yeah. There's places around us that have lots of Pokestops. But there's also huge stretches of space with nothing.
Huge tracts of land.
Huge tracts of land. I'd rather sing. So, I get where this is coming from, because there's a lot of people in rural areas who want to play Pokemon Go. And they can't. Now they really can't.
Now they've just got to play Sun and Moon.
Yeah, darn.
Oh,
it's been a much better game.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous though, because this is just another situation of Niantic completely screwing up like their promises to the fans.
Well, it's funny because, like I said at the beginning of this, I was saying earlier, we used to think about them in the same boat as No Man's Sky, Hello Games dev, but now I'm thinking they're like the anti-Hello Games, because they do interact and try and do updates frequently, but their dev team is just so bad at their job.
They just make everything.
They just make it worse.
It's horrible. So horrible.
They really, really need to figure out what they're doing.
It's obnoxious. In other news, Ditto is now available in Pokemon Go.
So that's good.
He was not before. He is now available everywhere. You don't need to be on specific continents or stuff. And the idea for this, the way you catch him is sometimes now, if you catch a random Pokemon, it might actually be a Ditto. And you won't know until you've caught it.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you'll catch like a Pidgey, and then you'll catch it, you'll be like, yeah, I caught that Pidgey, and then it turns into a Ditto. And you're like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
It was a Ditto the whole time. It's kind of a neat, that actually is like a neat idea.
And then you get really excited because you're like, oh, I have female versions of these Pokemon I want to breed.
Oh, so much breeding.
But
See,
no,
you can't breed in
yeah,
Pokemon Go.
It's not a thing.
You can breed in Pokemon Sun and Moon, though. Breed all day. Put that Ditto out to stud. Look at him. He's ready. Ditto was born to fuck.
It's so gross. It's so, especially with the title of this article, which is
Ditto sloshes into Pokemon Go. It's a Destructoid article, by the way, from the 23rd.
You know, this episode has been really explicit. I just realized because, like, I was swearing earlier. You have to remember to put that explicit tag on it and put it on iTunes.
Oh yeah, right. Make sure you make the title of this one "Ditto was born to fuck."
I'll just have fuck be the expletive.
The expletive, yeah. Do it.
Yeah, that's the name of the episode.
It's a good one. It's a strong episode name. Pokemon Sun and Moon. Let's talk about better Pokemon game.
Yeah.
Pokemon Sun and Moon, which I have been playing since it came out last Friday and loving. It's so good. Every change they made was for the better. Gyms can get fucked. I don't care about gyms anymore. They should stay go. They should go and stay go. Everything that game has changed is fantastic. But there's a glitch. There's a save glitch. You're going to lose your data. So if you've been playing Pokemon Go like me, or not Pokemon Go, Pokemon Sun and Moon, you better watch out for the save glitch. Just kidding. You don't need to watch out for it at all, unless you're a dirty, filthy cheater. So players started reporting this glitch where if they were saving their game in a Pokemon Center, it would render their game unplayable. Like, it would remove your character model from the game.
Whoa.
And, like, you couldn't do anything. And basically, it was a game-breaking glitch. You would need to restart your save file. Turns out, this is not a glitch in the game itself, but a bug caused by using an unauthorized homebrew program called the PK Hex tool, which is a save editor for Pokemon games.
I see.
It is somewhat outdated at this point and does not interact nicely with Sun and Moon. Oh. So if you encountered this glitch, there's no sympathy for you because you're a dirty, filthy cheater.
Yep. That's what's happening.
And if you go online and say like, "Oh no, my game glitched," you'll get no pity.
Yeah, we did
no sympathy. You brought it on yourself.
It was last week, right, that we did like a whole big story on the Pokemon cheaters.
Yes.
So we've made our opinions known about this.
Well, and it's funny. The guy who developed the tool said, "It's funny how people blame the games for a glitch instead of stating that they used an illicit tool." And this is the guy who made it.
Oh, and his name is Kurt.
Kurt. Yeah, he's well known in the Pokemon hacking and data mining communities.
Oh, you know Kurt.
And then he flat out just says, the tool caused the problem. So the guy who made it is like, yeah, they're cheating. They're all cheating. They're just not saying it.
Eventually he'll fix the tool so that it works with that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I just thought this was kind of a funny story. Because initially when it came out, everyone was like, oh my god, game-breaking Pokemon Sun and Moon glitch, everybody watch out. But then the truth came out.
When the truth came out.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Blizzard Entertainment
This is a really neat little piece of leak that came out, I think this past week. Yeah, November 22nd. And I'm citing a story from GameSpot.
Yes.
GameSpot. I always mix up the name of the store and the name of the site.
Oh, don't worry, everybody does that.
But yeah, so we found out that Blizzard is working on a new project, and they put out a hiring bulletin thingy, and the new project is going to utilize a robust first-person engine.
Oh my god.
So, StarCraft Ghost confirmed is what's happening.
More like Overwatch Ghost.
Yeah. No, some people are speculating that this is a new game. I would say that's highly unlikely. My speculation on this is that this is some sort of new mode for Overwatch or some sort of variant on Overwatch, because Overwatch is their new hot property.
More player versus computer content.
Overwatch single player.
Since the Halloween event went over so well.
Yeah.
As like a PvE mode.
So they need 2 lead software engineers, and they preferring workers with experience working on first-person games.
Yes.
Makes sense. So yeah, I am almost certain that this is like a big new content thing they're working on for Overwatch.
Probably, especially since they have expressed interest at BlizzCon and otherwise in doing more PvE content for Overwatch, and perhaps some like more permanent content of that sort.
It's funny
so that's cool.
This article talks about how earlier this year they posted stuff about how they needed devs for a new Diablo project, and then everyone was like, "Oh my god, they're making another Diablo game! Get excited, get hyped!" And then it was like, "Nah, those people were just working on like the Necromancer and the
Diablo 1,
the retro
thing." Yeah,
and I'm just like, yeah, you guys, because they don't need right now. Blizzard doesn't need to make a new game.
No,
they just need to make extra content for the games they have.
This isn't them making an Overwatch sequel. No. Overwatch is a platform that they're going to continue to make tons of money off of for many, many years.
Totally. Just I mean, they did that for so long with WoW. They understand how that works.
They do. Speaking of Overwatch. Symmetra. Symmetra is a hero in Overwatch, and the poor girl is the least picked hero in the game.
That's true.
Nobody plays as Symmetra. She's neat though,
She can throw so many turrets down.
Put shields on people, throw down turrets. Her ultimate's a teleporter. She can shoot beach balls at you.
Mm-hmm. Well,
she's got it all.
Yeah.
Got a booty for days. But they said, in light of her being picked so infrequently, Jeff Kaplan and the other people in the Overwatch team said, but why? Why is she picked so little? And the answer basically was, she feels a little underpowered. Her kit's interesting, but it doesn't really have a big game-changing effect on things. So they said, we gotta bring Symmetra back to the drawing board. We gotta overhaul that girl. And the overhaul of Symmetra is now available on the public test realm. And wowie zowie, did they overhaul Symmetra? She got, super tricked out. She is now the first character in the game to have a choice between 2 ultimates.
Oh.
When her ultimate is charged, you can either put down a teleporter, as before, or you can put down a shield generator that will generate shields for your entire team within a certain radius around it. Now, before she had an ability to put a tiny shield on everybody on the team that lasted until they died, and then she could reapply it, which was neat, but never felt terribly useful. This is like that, but way more effective. Because you set it up on your defensive line, and then everyone on your team has, a chunk of extra regenerating health as long as they're staying in that area, which is great. And that lasts until the enemy team finds and destroys it, much like with the teleporter. Allegedly, her teleporter is also getting a big health buff, so it's much harder to destroy if the enemy team finds it, which makes it more valuable. She's getting an entirely new ability called Photon Barrier, which is a big shield similar to Reinhardt and Winston's projected shields, although hers is a big elliptical projectile that moves along a trajectory. You can use it both offensively and defensively. So basically, she shoots a little thing out, and it generates a shield, and it just keeps on moving. So you shoot this little, moving, blocking wall. And so you can use it to stall for time, defend against attacks, all sorts of stuff like that. Her main gun is getting its range increased, which is good because it has very short range right now. You can now stock up to 6 turrets at once instead of 3 that you can just have like in stock to place wherever. Yeah, that's about it. They also removed her basic shield granting ability in light of her new ultimate and stuff. So she's just gotten kind of buffed all over as far as like all her abilities go. And people on the test server say she seems really cool. Obviously, they're still kind of working out some kinks. People managed to crash the test server by all going into a game as 12 Symmetras and shooting her projected shield barriers up into the sky, because apparently they don't disappear until they hit some level geometry of some kind. So they just overloaded it with like more and more shields until the server couldn't handle it anymore. Also, they were glitching it out so that Reaper can apparently, if you shoot her shield straight up in the air, teleport onto it and fly. So people were doing that too.
That sounds fantastic.
If you build it, they'll find a way to break it.
Reaper's going to the moon.
Reaper's going. He'll be back someday when we need him most. So that's cool.
So, interesting story out of the UK.
Yes.
This is from Eurogamer. This is from the 21st. About Watchdogs 2 and its sales numbers. And its sales numbers, they ain't so good.
You know, Watchdogs 1 sold like freaking hotcakes.
And it shouldn't have, because it was horrible.
It was stupid and bad.
But Watchdogs 2, we do not have exact numbers for this, but some basement Columbos have figured out an approximation of how many units.
Basement Columbos?
Listen,
what are you, 80?
I've heard, I was hearing some YouTuber use that phrase, and it tickled me.
It's a good phrase.
Yeah, and I was just like, I need to use that all the time.
But nobody will get that reference.
I know, right?
No young people. I mean, I guess we know Columbo.
That's what makes it cool, Dan.
Young people don't know Columbo.
But okay, so for the UK, the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which was in its second week when Watch Dogs 2 was released.
Yes.
Apparently there is a UK numbers company called Chart Tracker, and they released some figures and basically a listing of the best-selling games.
Yes.
And Watch Dogs 2, the first week it came out, was right below Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Oh, which was in its third week of release. I'm sorry, not its second. So that and we also know from other sources that Infinite Warfare's sales were down 46% on that third week.
Yes.
So if you put all this together, from what we know, Infinite Warfare's sales were before they were down 46%. If you do the math, it means that it looks like Watch Dogs 2 has to have sold below 80,000 units.
That's really low.
It's really low, especially because it says, for reference, this article says Watch Dogs 1 launch sales were 380,000 units.
Yes.
So that's a drop of 300,000 units. Now, again, this is just in the UK. This is not worldwide, and it could be that for some reason it's just not selling well in the UK, but is selling well in like the US or the rest of Europe. Although that seems kind of unlikely. I feel like usually with games, with the exception of a couple franchises like your FIFAs, typically sales numbers are pretty consistent across most of the Western nations. Right. So, yeah, apparently people are not buying Watch Dogs 2.
Which is a shame, because from everything I've seen and heard about it, it is like a vast improvement over the first game.
Yeah, all of the reviews are like extremely positive. I still am super bothered by like the theming and the art style.
I still hate it.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's way better than the first and probably a good game, but I'm never going to play it.
Like, where the first one was just, like, gritty for no reason.
Oh, God.
The second one is just, like,
it's
annoying,
obnoxious.
like, hipster trash.
So obnoxious.
And...
Whoa, hacker bros. Dead sack.
Ugh.
Ooh.
But no, people are saying, like, you can actually play the game, like, non-lethal if you want to, and there's good game roots for that. which is good. And there's just more hacking options and everything. This is kind of a bummer, but there's been a general trend, this article points out, of AAA titles that are just doing worse. So, like, Titanfall 2 did a lot worse. Dishonored 2 hasn't been doing great, and they already talked about Infinite Warfare, which is just generally for a Call of Duty game, not doing super well. So just this sort of trend of AAA titles doing worse this quarter has been troubling to some.
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't care if AAA titles start selling less.
Nah.
I think that that's good. I mean, it might be bad for the industry as a whole because, like, so much money comes in from those, or is supposed to be coming in from those. But if this means a dial back to slightly smaller game budgets with, like, a different design philosophy behind them to not just make the same repeated thing over and over again, I think that's good.
But don't you want a game to have a high enough budget to have Kevin Spacey in it?
No, I don't care.
No, see,
I don't care at all.
Yeah, that's not important to gamers at all.
No. I don't care that Jon Snow is in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I don't.
I don't care about Jon Snow in a spacesuit, which is weird. Alright, it's weird. But no, this is, it's disappointing, and interestingly enough, Titanfall 2 was also disappointing in a very similar way, where that had gotten really great reviews,
yes,
but no one was buying it. And there were other reasons for that not doing as well, because of its release date, but it's still one of those things where I'm like, okay, if you're a AAA dev, and your first game maybe generated pretty good sales, but generated a lot of bad press, like Titanfall 1 did, or like Watchdogs 1 did, that should tell you something about maybe holding off on making a sequel.
Yeah.
Because people aren't going to be... Because people like... if a lot of people pre-order your game, okay, you're going to sell a lot of copies of that game and make a lot of money. But if they're just all buying it up front, and then it generates a bunch of bad press, and then nobody buys it after that, and a lot of people sell their copies or trade them in, people aren't interested in that franchise anymore. Yeah. You just managed to trick them into buying the first game.
Look at Guitar Hero.
Oh, Guitar Hero.
In light of talking about pre-orders and such, GameStop apparently is having a real rough time making the money it used to make. The new Call of Duty has underperformed, which has hurt them big time. Pokemon Sun and Moon, however, was the biggest sale they had of the year. So basically, GameStop reported earnings, this is from November 22nd, for the quarter that ended on October 29th, and the results were not what they wanted. Global total sales of $1.96 billion, which was a 2.8% decrease year over year. New software sales dropped by 8.6%. So these aren't, like, huge drops.
Not really.
I guess when you look at, like, the amount of money they make as a whole, that percentage is actually a ton of money. But they're still making a ton of money.
I think the breakdown of their profit was they made $50 million profit this quarter, down from $55 million last year this quarter. So, like, that's $5 million. I understand that's a lot of money, but your company's still doing fine.
Smallest violin in the world, GameStop.
Yeah. It also, this article actually breaks down a lot of numbers of, like, the different sort of chunks of their company and the different things they're selling. It's super interesting if you want to like look through all of them. But one of the things it talks about is their digital store and how that is ever expanding. I think it grew by, I want to say 30%. Now I can't find the exact number.
Their tech brands division rose, as well as their collectibles division too.
Well, yeah, that was something we reported on about how, like, now they were having, like, t-shirts and junk.
They were selling mad Five Nights at Freddy's toys.
Yep, and apparently that's doing well for them.
Yep, because for some reason everybody loves Five Nights at Freddy's.
It's bizarre how much people love that game.
Yeah. In other sad news, Peter Molyneux wants to make Fable 4. There's an article from Polygon on November 24th. Former chief of Lionhead Peter Molyneux said he'd love to work on a new Fable game, and he thinks it's crazy that Fable 4 isn't being made. He'd love to do it, and the studio tried to do it, but you'd have to get the original team back together.
Okay, for one thing, it's not crazy that it's not being made. There's very good reasons why it's not being made, and that's because sales went down with
the
each Fable
of
game.
like every game has been incredibly lukewarm.
Yeah. And people eventually just stopped caring. It's why, in this article I see mentions Fable Adventures,
yes,
why that just sort of got canned, because nobody cared.
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
And Microsoft actually turned down the pitch for Fable 4, apparently.
Yeah, they should have, because nobody cares.
They preferred Fable Legends, which nobody cared about as well. Molyneux says that he does not think the press has treated him badly. He had many years of amazing articles, mostly before his games came out. I added that part. He can't complain. Times have changed, and you've got to change with them. There's no bad blood.
Which is funny as a statement to end on, because the whole article is about how he's like, let's go back to the way things used to be, and let's make a game.
Things change, though.
But things change.
Things change.
Yeah, they're just... And if you're gonna make, like, you could easily just make a new fantasy game that actually does all the things that Fable was supposed to do, and then it would actually be Fable as you originally promised. So, there's nothing stopping you from doing a new IP like that.
Not. You should just do it.
Like the ukulele guys.
Yeah.
They were just like, let's just make the same kind of game, but a new IP, it'll be
just
fine.
Just call it Story.
And everyone's... Story.
Or Fairy Tale. And go for it.
It'll be fine.
Go for it, Pete.
But he's not going to do that, because he's not actually a good game developer.
Oh my god. How could you say that?
That man made Goddess and the Mystery Cube
Project
thing.
Curiosity.
Yeah, that's what it was called.
So we talked a little bit about several weeks ago now that apparently they announced at Tokyo Game Show that there was going to be a Monster Hunter film. And this announcement was like, people were like, what?
Yeah, why?
But kind of curious. I was kind of curious. I was like, where are they going to go with this? Nowhere good, turns out.
Nope.
Because we have more information now. Monster Hunter Cinematic Universe is on the way.
It's not just a movie, it's a cinematic universe. Because if Marvel can do it with Marvel Comics, of course we can do it with Monster Hunter.
The producer of the film, Mr. Jeremy Bolt, told Deadline in a recent interview that they treated Capcom with tremendous respect, and earning their trust is one of the reasons for Monster Hunter being the movie we'll do next. They control the rights, and the game is now bigger for them than Resident Evil. So Bolt and the director, Paul W.S. Anderson, director of such hit films as all of those shitty Resident Evil movies.
All of them.
That make way more money than they should, because dear lord, they're terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're putting out their final Resident Evil movie in January 2017, and apparently Anderson has already written the first draft of the Monster Hunter script. Film will be produced for around $50 million, and based on the team's Resident Evil series, it'll be really profitable. So everything in this article, and everything I've read about this, because I read some other articles as well, literally just says, this is going to make Capcom and us a ton of money. We're going to make tons of money.
Yep.
Nothing in there is about making a quality product.
Nope. Well, that's the thing to remember about the Resident Evil films. Is
they're a cash cow.
Yeah, the reason why there's so many of them, and a lot of people don't get why they keep making more of them, but the reason why there's so many is because they have really low budgets, and then
tons of money.
Yeah, and it's not that they make tons of money as compared to a blockbuster film, because they don't. Right. That's why you never hear about them. They make tons of money as compared to what was spent to make them. So they and this is funny. One of the best examples of this in the film industry are dance movies.
Yes.
Like, if you ever wonder why dance movies get made, it's because they cost like a
Step
million.
Up to the streets.
Yeah. The reason why there's like a million Step Up movies is because they cost like $1 million to make, and they make like $40 million at the box office. Paranormal Activity. So even though their box office numbers are really poor,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because they made so much more money than they cost.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah.
The first Resident Evil film, for example, was made for $33 million and made $102 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's almost triple.
Yeah.
What they spent on it.
Yep.
It's more than triple what they spent on it, actually. So, there you go. I love this quote, though. Is that Anderson says, what I love about Monster Hunter is the incredibly beautiful, immersive world they've created. Great, that's true. It's on the level of Star Wars in terms of world creation. There are no real central characters. Okay, he's got me. So it's a bit like when we first approached Resident Evil and imposed our own characters and story on that world.
See, that was not true.
Resident Evil, that game series with no established central characters. Right?
Right? But it did. It did.
I mean, at least he's right when he says that about Monster Hunter.
Yeah, but it's not right at all when he says that about Resident Evil.
So the film series, they're talking about how Monster Hunter is just huge right now. They're aiming for a PG-13 rating to broaden the appeal. I mean, it should be PG-13 anyway. Monster Hunter is not crazy gory.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm actually happy to hear that, because it means we won't get a gory Edgemaster Fest. Mm-hmm. Huge cultural phenomenon, blah, blah, blah. We're making a movie.
That's the other thing. It's not a huge cultural phenomenon.
In Japan it is.
Yeah, but...
It's catching on in the West.
But Japan,
it's been a slow process.
Japan is a tiny market. That's why no one makes movies tailored to Japan.
No, but they think it can be big here. Because they're going to ruin it. They're going to make it appeal to the Western audiences.
It's weird, too, because Monster Hunter is all about fighting giant monsters. So but how do you do that on a low budget?
The last thing I want to mention about this is a Destructoid article goes into a little more detail in some ways, specifically saying it says the movie's log line, which, as they say in this article, sounds somewhat reasonable, but with the degree of separation from games that you've probably come to expect. And this log line is enough for me to say, nope, check him out. For every monster, there is a hero.
I read this earlier. I was going to bring this up.
An ordinary man in a dead-end job discovers that he is actually the descendant of an ancient hero. He must travel to a mystical world to train to become a monster hunter before the mythical creatures from that world destroy ours. So you have Monster Hunter, a game set in an immersive, lush, interesting world, all its own, that stands on its own.
Yep.
But no, this is going to be set in our world, and there's going to be like a dumb portal to Monster World, where all the monsters are trying to invade us. And average Joe desk job is going to pick up his greatsword and go do his triple charges and slap that Rathalos back through the portal. But don't worry, they'll come up with a bunch of cooler original monsters for the movie.
I really like how in his earlier statement from the first article, he talks about how, it's this great world and we
have so much
create stories in it. And I'm like, but you're not doing this tagline means you're not creating a story in that world.
You're writing a bunch of bullshit, like you did with Resident Evil.
Yep.
Christ.
It's going to be terrible. It's going to be really bad.
Yeah, this is miserable.
But I will be interested to see what he does on the lower budget, like how he squares
the
that.
Monsters.
Because
I'm sure they'll be
the monsters
terrible
have got but he doesn't do that though. Because with the Resident Evil movies, and I haven't seen any of them all the way through, but I've seen bits and pieces of some of them. He will have some CGI monsters once in a while, but he's really smart about using stuff super sparingly, so you don't have an atrocious CGI monster during the whole movie.
But how can you not?
Yeah, I know. So it'll be really weird. This won't be anything like Monster Hunter.
I swear if he's fighting humans.
Oh, he's definitely fighting humans.
I'm gonna plot.
That's what's gonna happen. Because they're the minions of the monsters, Dan.
No.
Movie's gonna be nothing like Monster Hunter, everybody.
Horrible.
Calling it right now.
Simply horrible. There's so many things running through my mind right now that I want to say, but none of them are appropriate. So I won't. None of them are appropriate, like Ditto was born to fight. Games that just came out. Pokemon Sun and Moon. It just came out.
It's great.
It's great. Games that are coming out. Darksiders War Mastered Edition, Steins Gate on the PS4 and Vita.
Oh, big one.
FF15. And Watchdogs 2 for PC.
Watchdogs 2 for PC.
And then, that's it.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how FF15 fares.
I am too. A friend of ours actually has told me that he is most likely picking it up, and I told him to give me all of his thoughts when he does.
Oh. It's funny, I have a...
Because I am not picking it up.
I have a coworker who can't stop talking about how excited he is for it.
Uh-huh. And you keep saying, why?
Yeah, I keep being like, but here's some articles I can cite to you about how their development has been a horrible mess.
Yeah.
Because I've reported on
miracle.
them. And he's just like, no, that's good, because they've had so much time to work on it, and they've had so many different perspectives. And I'm like, that's not what makes a good video game.
Duke Nukem Forever was awesome, right?
Yeah, it was great. So I'm kind of excited to report on how much of a train wreck it is.
Yes.
We'll see next week.
Hey, I'm not going to hedge my bets, though. There's a chance it'll be really good.
Maybe.
And I'm not saying that as a joke. Like, there actually is a chance it'll be really good.
There's a chance. I'm putting it like a 70-30.
That it's going to be bad to good?
Yeah.
I give it 60-40.
Okay. All right.
We'll see where we stand.
Yeah.
Once the game's out. That's about it, though.
Yeah, we've managed to go over again. We really got to pare down our articles better.
I know.
But thanks everybody for listening or watching. We have been Don't Copy That Floppy with your hosts Lex and Dan. We broadcast live on Friday nights, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on chipit.net, also twitch.tv/DCTF podcast.
You can find us on all social media. If you like the show, check out our Patreon. If you like the show but don't want to give us money, go leave us an iTunes review.
That would be helpful, yeah.
And please check out tomorrow night on Twitch, starting at probably around 7 p.m.
Yep.
We will be doing the first of 3 streams of a full play of Wonderful 101.
Nice.
My most favoritist game. And the best Wii U game you've never heard of. So look forward to that. And until next week, remember, don't copy that floppy.